Hey YouTube, in today's video I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my updated Maiden of. So the Maidens, this deck is actually really fun, Nectar deck. It's probably one of my favorite ones since it's really underrated and it's may not get as much attention as the Asha builds and the Bloom builds do. But I feel like it's a lot more fun than Musketeers because it has a lot more pressure with a lot of on-hit effects in some of them. As we'll go through the deck, we'll see that in some cases it runs a lot of like on-hit stuff that doesn't even have to hit Vanguard, it just have to hit in general to generate a lot of advantage. So start off for Maiden of Trailing Rose. This was always one of my favorite Nectar Vanguards from way back in the day. So she came out with Dragonic Overlord at the end in set 5, really old card with the Persona Blast skill. She got a Legion Revival, so this is not my first time doing this deck profile, but it is a little bit different from before. So she got Maiden of Rambling Rose. Maiden of Rambling Rose is the Legion, so this is the Legion mate. So it's kind of like Dote and the Cross. Legion skill's okay. Maiden of Trailing Rose on hit pressure is really nice. Essentially, when it hits, you can counterblast 1, Persona Blast a copy of this card, so kind of like the end, and then you check top 5 and call 2 Nectar units standing. So it can be any units. So really nice card. So that's the grade 3 lineup. They work really well together. The Legion skill also helps you ensure that you have your Persona Blast, and you get an extra call to Regard Circle. For grade 2s, here's where the deck gets interesting. I'm running 4 Maiden of Rainbow Wood. People probably think, why are you running this? It's so counterblast heavy. Well, the deck has a lot of ways of countercharging, so it's not a problem at all. And I really love that this card can just like swing to a rear guard in front of it or across from it, and then the opponent really wants to block, or they'll intercept with the other one. So it's like if you want to get rid of a Nehalem or something, or a Twin Sword, you attack into it, or no, you attack the other card, and they'll probably have to intercept with that Twin Sword or something, because they don't want you to kill that card and counterblast 2 and draw a card. They don't want you to like +2 off of that. So this is a really good advantage card. It's really annoying to the opponent. These old school cards are very underrated. It's a very good turn 2 ride if you took a critical hit. If your opponent attacked you and you didn't guard it and that you got 2 damage, it's a really good turn 2 ride. Because then you can swing as a Vanguard, and most likely they don't really want to block the Vanguard, so you get to draw a card for free and deal damage. So it's a really good advantage card. Next, for Maiden of Damask Rose. So this card, just like that one, it can be Vanguard or Rearguard, but it has to hit Vanguard to special counterblast Maiden and search for a grade 3 Maiden. What I like about this card is that you don't have to have a grade 3 Vanguard Maiden, whatever. This can attack as the Vanguard, and if it hits, then you just straight up search your deck for one of these 2 cards. So it can help prevent you from getting grade stuck at 2. I mean, there's lots of good stuff about this card. There's no reason why we don't run 4 of it in a Maiden of deck. And then the last card is open to being whatever, but I highly recommend running a Maiden of. Mainly because of Yggdrasil, the stride unit for them is really good. So 3 Maiden of Gladiolus, just because you can replenish your field, get extra attacks in during battle phase. So it's pretty good as your 3rd grade 2, I would say. For grade 1s, I'm running 4 Maiden of Passion Flower because they're available, because Lilga's in my Asha deck. So again, it's Maiden of, so that's really nice, and it's the Unflip Perfect Guard. Next, probably one of the most interesting cards that they have is Maiden of Rambler. I really love this card. It is so good. At first I kind of thought it was lackluster, but after playtesting again and again, this card makes me think of like Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of like discard 1 card, special summon. It's like plants basically from Yu-Gi-Oh! So it helps you stride at a reduced cost, and when you're striding Yggdrasil, you plus off of this so much because she gets summoned to the field from the drop zone, and then you draw a card. So she replaces herself or she replaces the other card that you discard to stride, and then she gets summoned back to the field. So it's really nice. So definitely 4 copies of that. 4 copies of Maiden of Waterpot. Again, this card has the ability to draw and countercharge. So the deck has lots of ways of countercharging. That's why we can justify running stuff like wood in here. And 2 Maiden of Kana. She just helps you power up your field and go for a big push. Helps this deck build power columns similar to the Blooms, but not nearly as crazy as Bloom, but it can still do pretty big numbers, especially with stride plays like Jingle Flower and stuff like that. For the trigger lineup, 4 Maiden of Daybreak. This card also is Maiden of, and it has the ability to power up your field, plus 5k to 2 units that have the same name. So it's pretty good, GB1 restricted, but it's really good. Next, 4 of the new critical trigger that they got, and it's a Maiden. So Maiden of Zephyranthus, I think that's how it's said. Basically, this is a Flame of Victory clone for Neo Nectar. They finally get a critical that has this effect as a pose. They kept getting stand triggers that have this effect in the past, but now they finally have a critical that does that. Then 4 of the Maiden of critical, the vanilla one. And then another new card is the heal trigger. So Maidens finally got a heal trigger. So Maiden of Evolvus. So basically, the deck didn't change a whole lot. Like, the main thing I changed was I bumped Rambler to 4, I dropped Kana to 2, and I added the new critical and the new heal. Starter is still the same. It's Maiden of Noisette. A really good starter. It's not GB restricted. So it's it works pretty well. Similar effect to the Yggdrasil. Just no power boost or no power bonus. For the stride lineup, this is where it's quite interesting, but it's still pretty standard or expected. I'm running 2 Protector Lotus Maiden of Yggdrasil. You could run 3 of these if you want. 4 is really not needed. You're going to want to stride other things. There's going to be different situations. But overall, like, I would say 2 to 3 copies of Yggdrasil is really good in here. Especially because she combos so well with Rambler. Rambler, if you're striding this thing, you get to call and draw. It's like super good. So at least 2 of it. Then I am running 4 Ranunculus Asha. So typically what I like to do is I like to stride Yggdrasil first. If I have a Rambler again, then I will stride Yggdrasil a second time. Otherwise, if I need to build field, then I'll stride Asha, and in that case, typically you get the benefit of the secondary skill to Superior Call from the deck, because you'll have like these 2 face up in the G zone. So 4 copies of this, because it's a really solid card for all Neo Nectar decks. And then Verano, she's okay in here. I think I've only used it 1 time. I only have 3 copies, but really, it's kind of hard to use it with 3 copies, because sometimes what you do is you have to call, like, you stride this, you have to flip up one of them manually, because you don't have any other stride unit that flips up cards. This deck does not run Glorious Bloom, because obviously it requires Asha in the heart. But anyway, it still works. What you could do is, if you have 4 Jingle Flower, you could run 4 Jingle Flower. I only have 2 Jingle Flower. Then you may not even need Verano. You could run like Multivitamin Dragon or something. Because Multivitamin's also relatively good in here. So 2 Jingle Flower, because like I said, it works really well with Kana, going for really big numbers. It's not too hard to do. But it is a little situational, because you don't clone as often as the Blooms do. And 1 Primavera, because it's still relatively good in here, in this type of deck. Now, granted, the deck is Legion, so you'll put your triggers back. So typically your drop zone will only be stacked with normal units anyway. So it's not too bad in here, especially because Legion will put back your triggers. So by stacking back normal units, you're still going to be able to hit triggers relatively easily, because a lot of people complain about Primavera for that reason. And then we just have the one Verna, the one Desmal, and the two Rain Element or Rain Breath Dragons. So that's basically it. Obviously, I feel like in terms of the strike units, the go-to strike unit for this deck is definitely the Yggdrasil. It generates so much pressure, especially with this card, and it works really well with Rambler. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of the Maiden of deck. It's a really fun deck. I encourage you to build it if you can, and try it out. It's a really nice alternative to the typical Asha decks that we see a lot out there. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.